Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so happy you're joining me again today. I'm back with another card for Jane's Doodles and I'm using the Fresh Cut Flowers stem set today. I really love how easy it is to use this stem set. I love floral images, but sometimes you need something to ground them or you need a bunch of separate stemmed flowers and it's a lot of work, but flowers in a vase just do all that work for you. Now I'm going to do some form of shadow stamping. It's not the technique, I have some videos on that too, I will link those below. But for this one I just want a line image from this stamp onto my background just to ground the actual focal image that I will color in. So I'm stamping this first on my background. This is just a sheet of A2 size paper. It is watercolor cardstock. And I'm stamping it in, what color is this? Victorian velvet, I think, from Distress Oxide inks. And once that's stamped, I'm also going to add some splatter to the background. I'm using that same ink, adding some water with just a paintbrush, and I'm just going to flick that onto the page. This will bring some interest to the background and add some texture as well, because I am going to use a couple of different things to add splatter to this card. So I'm using the Distress Oxide ink, which will have a velvety finish. It looks really matte when it's on top of the page. And then I am also going to use some black acrylic paint, which is a different kind of matte. It is also a little bit raised if you don't water it down too much. So that adds another texture. And then finally, I will also add some metallic paint, so that will add some shimmer to the background as well. This is just pink metallic watercolor by Finetech, and I'm just splattering that on just like I did the other two paints. And I'm stamping the image one more time onto more of that Canson Montval 200 GSM watercolor cardstock, and I'm stamping it this time in Versafine Onyx black ink. I'm stamping it twice to get a really good impression on that watercolor cardstock, which is slightly textured. And then I am going to, I actually stamped it 3 times. And then I'm going to emboss this like I always do. I'm just going to add some clear gloss superfine embossing powder by Wow to this image. And once that's sprinkled on, I can funnel the other embossing powder back into the jar and heat set the image. This is the dual heat tool by Wow. I use the second setting because that's what Wow recommends for melting embossing powder. The first setting is really for drying paint or things like that. I do let the tool heat up for a little bit before I bring it to the paper, and that should minimize the warping. Now I'm using some watercolor. This is the Mijello Mission Gold watercolor palette, and I really love these colors, but I do usually mix my own. So you can see I dulled that orange down a little bit with some purplish pink because I didn't want super punchy orange in my florals. I'm using a bunch of different pinks. I'm also using this purplish pink, and I'm also going to mix some opera pink, which is basically neon pink, in with a color I mixed before, so it's not completely neon, but it's very bright, and I'm going to paint that on the rest and on the other 3 flowers. I can't count today, apparently. Then I'm going to finish it off with the leaves with some greens. I usually use a bunch of different greens, but I kept it a little bit more simple this time. I used some dark green for the stems and for that little bud at the top. And then I'm going to use some yellow or green for the other leaves. And for the vase, I decided to make a clear vase, which was, that was a challenge. I don't think I've ever colored a clear vase before. So I'm just starting out with some blues and watering it down quite a bit. I am making it look a lot like watercolor. I am not trying to get an even coating of paint. I am trying to let the colors flow a little bit and get some more organic water looking textures. And then to shade the vase a little bit, I let it dry first, so my paint wouldn't run through the water, and then I also painted in some stems as well. I didn't let those start right at the top of the vase because that would just look unrealistic. If you see a vase, you usually see the stems start through the vase a little lower than the top of it. I glued a strip of patterned paper onto my card base, and then I'm gluing 4 additional pieces of thick white cardstock behind my watercolor panel, and I'm just using that for dimension, and then I can glue that on top of my card base as well. This is a really easy card to put together, just a strip of patterned paper, some splatter on the background, and then your focal image, and you're done really. The stamped image on your background really grounds the focal image, so I'm just propping that up onto foam tape, and that will give that shadow look behind it. It's just a little touch of design behind the floral image there. So that finishes off my card. You can add some embellishments. I really wanted to add some sparkle to this, but I decided not to because there was already so much splatter on this. So I just moved on to my envelope, and I'm using the same pattern paper that I used on my card. So I'm just folding that with the We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board. I'm folding an A2 sized envelope, of course, for my A2 sized card. And then I can reinforce those core lines with my bone folder and glue it together with the Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, and that is my project finished for today. I really like how this turned out. Again, this is not the shadow stamping technique, but I think as a design element you can call it a shadow stamped image. I'm not sure. I am always really confused about stamping technique names, but I really like this one. I hope you like it too. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video as well, I'm still behind on editing videos. I have been really busy lately, so I also don't post a video on YouTube for every card I make anymore. I do a lot of lives over on Instagram, so make sure to follow me there and check out the live replays if you want to see a tutorial for a card that I haven't posted on my YouTube channel yet. And while I catch up on editing videos, you can also check out the playlists I have on my channel for some more technique videos. I hope you keep watching, and I hope to see you next time.